What is going on, you guys? I'm Mike.
And I'm Brie.
Welcome to Fracture Compass, and today, as promised, we are going to be discussing KNOTT's Scary Farm, predictions, wants, all that stuff, like we did with Halloween Horror Nights.
Right.
This one I feel like is definitely going to be one that's going to be a little more difficult because, as you said too, Halloween Horror Nights is already releasing announcements, you know, and we're going to go to Monsterpalooza on April 14th.
Yeah.
And we're going to be discussing, you know, they're going to probably release a maze announcement then.
Another maze, absolutely.
So it's going to be a little more difficult now at this time of the year to kind of predict really what KNOTT Scary Farm has to offer, but it doesn't mean that we can't express our predictions and wants and just tweaks and all that stuff. So I think we should just jump right into it.
So first and foremost, this is a fireside chat with you guys. So leave your thoughts in the comments below what you want for Scary Farm, because here at FCP we're covering every single major Halloween event that goes on. We're not just going to be Universal. We're not going to be Scary Farm. And later on in the months in the year, we're going to be talking about like Dark Harbor, things
hopefully Haunted Hayride. Like we're overall general Halloween lovers. So
that's right. So we talk about it all here. So if this is your first time here, we are not just a specific like one stop shop for just this Halloween, just Universal, just KNOTT, just whatever. We want to talk about just Halloween in general, but we do talk about the major SoCal events.
So why don't we just jump right into it?
Let's do it.
And let's talk about maybe the scare zones a little bit.
Let's talk about the scare zones, because the scare zones are more predictable than Universal, since Universal changes up things every year. But first and foremost, let's talk about Ghost Town. What do you think about Ghost Town? Ghost Town?
I think it should just, I think it should stay the same, for sure. And I definitely hope that, like, you know, they maybe add a little more decoration. But, like, Ghost Town really, for me, is practically perfect. Like, and just the setting alone, the mood, the fog, the lighting, the scare actors especially. Like,
yes.
Just leave it the way it is. There's nothing really wrong with it. There's always room for improvement in, like, some areas. But, like, generally, like, I have no complaints about Ghost Town. I always get a little freaked out in there.
I'm super excited to see Fog Alley and see some of the newer characters that come out of Ghost Town, because if you guys notice, yes, you do have the iconic characters like the Bride and like Otis, the Fog Weaver, and Gecko, and all those guys.
But those two, and like there was these two people that were like turkeys or chickens or something like that.
They brought, I don't know about turkeys. They brought the chicken has a wife. So they have the chicken and his wife.
They were great.
They have the pig twins back last year. They brought them back.
They were all fantastic last year.
And now they have the Toad Mayor and his wife as well. And so there's these new characters that just keep coming out. And it's really exciting to see how the town has grown. And you've just got these staple people and these staple guys that come back year after year. And their characters don't stay the same every year. They evolve. And if you guys want to check that out, we did a panel at KNOTT did a panel at Haunt X, and they brought up some of the guys. They had the Orphan, they had Gecko, they had Otis, they had the Mummy, and they had Blacksmith? Yeah, and Jasper.
And the Bride.
And the Bride. So if you guys want to check that out, we'll put a little link up above so you can see that panel. They did a whole hour talking about their characters and their history with KNOTT Scary Farm. So that was really fun to see.
Yeah. But you know, I think like what really rivaled Ghost Town, surprisingly for me, last year was the Hollow. The Hollow was just amazing. It really has. The lighting, they had like these like little like pumpkin wooden carving things that had like fog coming out of it. Those were incredible. The acting was great. Like just the mood in general. I think what like I look for in a scare zone is like, okay, what's the atmosphere like? How am I feeling? Am I feeling scared or something like that? And so Ghost Town for sure and the Hollow for sure are two scare zones that I was like, wow, this is like spooky and very Halloween-like, and it's just, they had a lot of thought into it. With that being said, there are two other scare zones that I personally didn't have a whole lot of appreciation for, should I say, and I'm not saying that the scare actors were bad, because the scare actors in Carnival and Forsaken Lake were fantastic. I just feel like the scare zones themselves, in terms of, you know, the sets, the lighting, the music, all that stuff, the atmosphere, it just was really lacking. And what's continually lacking for me is Carnival. And I get it, like, it's in a boardwalk and there's a bunch of clowns and stuff like that, but like maybe add some more props, maybe add something, because whenever I walk through Carnival, it just feels like an afterthought to me. It feels like, it's a scare zone, there's just people with clown costumes, just let it be. And like, I get it, like, that particular scare zone is supposed to be a little more light and comedic because the clowns can be, but that doesn't mean we can't add like scary like props, like, you know, a giant Jack-in-the-Box like they had in that in front of...
Right, and when the Jack-in-the-Box was in play, I believe Uncle Bobo's was back there. So, and if I'm wrong, please tell me I'm wrong. I'm not going to say that we know all about Scary Farm.
But like little things like that.
Who like Black Magic was back there for sure. I know that.
Yeah.
And they had that giant thing, and it was fun to watch. It was really fun to watch, but I do think it needs a revamping, and unfortunately,
like some sort of props or something, just to like add to the theming.
Yeah, the lighting package for Hang Time really lit that place up, and they did a special Halloween time like lighting package, which I thought was really, really cool.
I didn't even see it.
But I'm kind of sick of clowns. Even though I would be a clown if I got set into Carnival, I would be a clown, and that's totally okay. That's fine with me. But my thoughts, and I just had a thought like a while ago, why not bring back, if you're going to revamp that area, if you're saying like the clowns just need to go and we need to revamp it, why don't we bring back something like the Doll Factory?
Ooh.
Like Scare Zone.
Yeah.
So, you guys, tell me what you think about this. Honestly, we have the doll maker, so you could have this character, the doll maker, big guy,
this girl,
walking around, and then you have something like Sid's toys from Toy Story, just
screwed up looking,
maker,
just not
all these like screwed up things.
That would be fantastic.
Would be walking through. I mean, who's not afraid of dolls?
And who's not afraid of like dolls that look like just like mangled and
freaked
stuff.
Out.
That's what I'm talking about. If they had just like those kind of sets around, or just like, it doesn't have to be covering the whole area. No. You know, but at least like add some fog and keep the clowns, it makes more sense, you know? But it's just like, I don't understand why like they don't do it. And it's been like, how long has it been Carnival for? A while.
A long time.
Add some stuff to it.
At least, I want to say at least a decade.
Because if I'm walking through the Hollow, I'm like, this is Halloween. If I'm walking in Carnival, I'm saying, you know, this is a boardwalk with clowns. So...
And I know it makes sense, but you could bring toys. You could bring these weird things to life. You could do something just as bright.
And they put a little bit of like...
bright. I know it's bright out there. There's nothing you can do about that.
But they can still work that to their advantage in some way.
But they could.
And speaking of what's not bright, was Forsaken Lake. Now, me and Bree kind of have a little different opinion on this one. Now, the actors in Forsaken Lake did a great job. I think we hyped it up. But Bree made an interesting point when we were talking about it earlier that I said, you know what? Forsaken Lake feels like an afterthought. And you said...
And I said, Mike, Forsaken Lake feels like a forethought. And what I mean by that is it's in its infancy, and we saw the same thing happen in the Hollow when it was in its infancy, where there wasn't much to it. Yeah. So I feel like Forsaken Lake is going to be growing, and I hope, that's my hope.
I hope so too, because
it's going to be growing.
The theme and like the actors and the costumes, it's all fantastic. It's just like when I remember walking through it, and of course I went opening day, so it probably changed throughout the rest of the season. I didn't go again.
It didn't change by much. So,
it was very dark.
You're okay, but there was some lighting added. There was some fog, but I do think it's a forethought, and I do think it's going to come out of its infancy. At least that is my hope.
Like the Hollow did.
Prediction, like the Hollow did, because I'm just going off of what the Hollow was. And we were talking about Ghost Town, we're talking about the Hollow, and if you guys don't really pay attention, there is a storyline. There's a storyline in Ghost Town within the characters. But the Hollow actually has a legit storyline that is followed throughout the night.
I love the Hollow.
And you have to kind of get to know. And I was fortunate enough to be talking with one of the Hollow characters, John Sipes, who plays one of the scarecrows in there with the faces. And he explained kind of like the interaction between all the characters in that storyline. So that was really, really cool. But any guest can see the storyline. You don't even have to know anybody who works in the Hollow. Any guest can see the storyline as it progresses, and the burning of the Wicker Man and everything like that.
Yeah, all
so
great.
You've got these like amazing scare zones, and then you've got Carnival, which, you know, we've already kind of touched on that it needs to change. I'm just saying, the doll maker.
That's a good
idea.
idea.
Have that character.
Yeah. The Doll Factory is like my favorite maze. I love the Doll Factory.
Doll Factory was a good maze.
So bring it back.
But Forsaken Lake, I'm not going to touch it too much because I want to see how it goes.
Yeah.
Talk to me in 4 years.
Let's look at it again.
The procession was good, and they had that storyline in the procession. You get the storyline. I get it.
I think that this year we'll really be able to like hopefully see a lot of improvements. Because
my prediction is you won't. You're probably not going to see much.
You think so?
Talk to me in 4 years.
4 years. All right. Well, in 4 years,
including this year, because how long has the Hollow been going on? Okay, so
don't know.
Years 1 and 2 of the Hollow, I wasn't impressed. Year 3.
Hopefully, though.
Okay.
Hopefully, we're hoping that year 2 is the year that like.
I'm just going off of what KNOTT's pre-ramps ramp-ups have been and what I've seen throughout the years.
Yeah.
Been going to Knott's Scary Farm for a long time. Working it for 2, that's just kind of their role.
Let's talk about Fiesta Village. Now, I personally, I don't want to say that I don't like mind the dance party, but I know you have other feelings about that.
The dance party is kind of imminent. I feel like they've been getting rid of it and then bringing it back and then getting rid of it and then bringing it back. And then like we went Scare Zone for a couple years with the dance party. And then we took the dance party out and then just made it Fiesta Scare Zone, which was okay. Yeah. Like, looking at it,
I just remember like
I would have no problem working it, but it was okay. And then they brought the dance party back, so it's like I don't know what to say anymore.
I remember when that dance party area was a maze. They had Quarantine there. They had like the Grudge Maze back in like 2009, like something crazy.
And I was talking about Jax with that. I'm like, there was a maze in that area, but it was very much out in the area. Now, something that KNOTT does that Universal doesn't, but I mean Universal uses its backlots, so it's not too much in the way. But Universal's like the Monster Maze was right there. Yeah. Okay. Somebody had asked us like, could you walk around Knott's Berry Farm on the off season and show us what it looks like without the mazes? Well, it looks like
Knott's Berry Farm.
Knott's Berry Farm, because Knott's Scary Farm has a way of just not having their mazes in the way because we have that backlot area. Even Gunslingers was off in the back. Infected was off in the back of Mystery Lodge. So our mazes aren't really in the way. Now that might change next year, but I do remember Fiesta having those mazes, those IP mazes, actually right there, right in the middle and stuff. The only time that you could see anything on stage other than the normal decorations that Knott's Scary Farm has, like the skeletons and everything that start to pop up, was when they did the skeleton key houses. And you could actually see those. Those were just off in the corner. They were just black boxes.
They didn't offer that last year, did they?
They did not. They took that away about 2 years ago.
That was a real bummer because I think we went on the last year.
I went to both of them. They had the pumpkin maze one where you went through. Pray. They had the slasher one that you stood in this little box and this guy kind of popped up around you. I thought the best one was Zozo. That was a really good one. That was over where the old Windseeker was. Mm-hmm. And then, what else did they have? Which one did they have? There was 4 of them.
I remember Trapped wasn't a part. Oh my god, you remember Trapped?
I would love them to bring back Trapped. I was not, I hate to say this, but I was not brave enough to do it, and I didn't have the time. I think it was a long time.
And it was an extra charge.
It was an upcharge, and it had to be, because I think even with the charge, even with a reservation time, it was still an hour I think you had to wait to get into it. So they had to upcharge it.
I really wish I did it. If any of you guys did Trapped, can you let us know in the comments down below like what the experience was like? I mean, I could look at videos of it, but like just tell us, like let us know what's like your experience with it was, because I remember it was like there was like different rooms, but that's beside the point. If
you look on YouTube, Jeff Tucker did a panel at Midsummer Scream about Trapped, and they actually showed first time footage of what it looked like through the blacklight cameras.
Do you think that they're going to bring anything interactive like that back, or Skeleton Keys back, like their own rooms, or no?
I would love to. So the first time
Oh, that's right.
Oh, okay, yeah, through the old Haunt Museum. So Jackie just reminded us it was the one where they did the interactive where you had the iPads and you searched around for the ghosts.
And something happens.
And then when you guys they tricked you, they all had you gather into one. Okay, visions. They had you gather into one section, and then the Green Witch popped out where the hang noose was out of the wall, and then she went back in. Now those were an evolution. Those standalone skeleton keys were an evolution of what they used to be, where you actually went into a side room of the maze and you did a whole interaction with the maze. So you got kind of like this extra backstory and this extra experience, and then you were shoved into the maze through another route in front of people. I actually liked that better than when they just did the standalones, because when you went into Voodoo, you went into the side room, and then you were put into a coffin. Each one of you were put into your own single coffins. They shut the door. You know, Papa Legba talked to you from beyond, you know,
You're like banged on, like...
beyond the quantum realm, because we're going into...
Oh my gosh.
It's a lot of Marvel going on right now, guys.
And by the way, just a side note, if you guys are trying to get tickets for the Avengers, best of luck. Yeah. Wait time was 2 hours.
Godspeed. But anyways, you know, from beyond the mystic realm, and then it like vibrated really hard, and then the back opened up and you fell out of your coffin.
And I don't know if you guys know, like the Skeleton Keys was like an add-on experience that like, at first it was like, okay, like you get to skip the line and then you get to go through like a little extra part of the maze and then through the actual maze. And then they started to evolve into their own thing where it was like you go into your own, like a room, that's like not a part of a maze, and it's just like an own little interactive experience. And like I think that's what really set apart KNOTT from Universal, was that, you know what, they have those extra things that you can do.
This really cool
and I'm so bummed that they didn't do it last year.
No, they took them away, but that's the evolution of haunts.
Of course, yeah. You know, I remember when they had like zombie laser tag. It's very, I appreciate how experimental Not Scary Farm really is.
Still have zombie laser tag.
No, not like, not infected, like it was like an actual laser tag.
It was
on your own.
Alien invasion or something.
Oh, was it alien? I thought it was zombies.
I think it was aliens.
Okay, it was like an alien invasion laser tag.
Like you ran around. Oh, was it in the upstairs, like above where the old dinosaur thing
I remember
was?
it.
Because that's where the laser tag was for like normal.
I don't remember. I remember it was like, it was very long ago, but it wasn't infected. It wasn't like an actual like shooter, like you have to like go through this experience. Okay. But anyway, so let's talk about the mazes, and I know that's really like the big meat and potatoes of this place.
Weren't we talking about Fiesta? We just went coming back to Fiesta.
Yeah, okay, so like, sidetracked here. Going back to Fiesta, we would really like to see something, what was it like, put... and Jaguar.
They had the Curse of the Jaguar. I'm just like, that dance party is just not going away for the past decade. It just comes back. It's like a reoccurring nightmare.
Alright, so let's talk about the mazes.
Yay,
and so
mazes.
Specifically with the mazes, there are a few things that I feel like are going to be leaving, or I hope are leaving, you know? So like, you know that I really loved the Tooth Fairy, but after like the 4th year I was like, okay, bye. Like, go away, Tooth Fairy. And they replaced it with Dark Entities, and I have to be honest here. At first, I thought I enjoyed Dark Entities. Back on reflection on it, though, I really thought it was corny. I didn't think it was all that great. Now, I appreciate kind of like the Dead Space theming that was going on here, but it didn't really do it for me, so I kind of hope that they add more to it. I know that it's going to stay, though, because it's a new maze, so it will for sure stay. The thing that, like, is a very... great maze, which is Paranormal Inc. It's been there for a little bit now, so I'm thinking that it might leave, and I don't know, but like, even so, they revamped the ending, so it might stay, because that ending part was really cool.
I think...
I don't know.
All the mazes... Yeah, so let's start with that back area, because that back area is going to come into play into a weird situation next year, possibly. But yes, Dark Entities, I agree with you, it's definitely going to be back.
The Depths.
The Depths will definitely be back, and I think the Depths is actually going to stay for about 4 years. That's my prediction, is that the Depths is probably going to stay around for 4 years. Dark Entities, even though it's going to be back next year, I kind of think that it's going to turn into another Dead of Winter, and it might get 2 or 3. I think it was, like you said, a great concept. I just don't think it was executed.
And like Dead of Winter 2, you remember that they like, okay, so year 2 they put like a like Rise of like the Wendigo or something like that. So I think
that was the last year.
That was the last year. So I think that like maybe, I don't know if it'll be this year, but Dark Entity, they'll add like a, you know, the darkest of all oddities or something, you know, and like add something to it to like make it a little more.
Yeah, like something has to change. I also didn't like the way that it opened like last year, how it was these people just like this way.
Yeah, you know, it wasn't bad. Like, I'm not gonna say it was bad. It was way better than some of the other things that like you know, Dead of Winter I really did not like. But with that being said, I know it's gonna stay. I have a feeling Trick or Treat is gonna go by.
Yeah,
and that's such a good maze too. And like, you know, they've done the experimental thing already. They're like, okay, well, we've had a few years of Trick or Treat. Let's do Trick or Treat Lights Out. And so I feel like now at this point, it's gonna leave. And that's such a great like space to put a maze in. So I'm excited to see what's going to be in there if it does leave. However, I hope that it lives up to Trick or Treat because Trick or Treat sets were incredible.
Trick or Treat had a solid 8 years.
Yeah, it's time.
Solid 8 years, and as much as I hate to see it go because it is just quintessential Halloween, even though Trick or Treat Lights Out added some new kind of pizzazz to it, and sometimes I would look at some of the characters and be like, what?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Like, what? Like,
and it was a cool concept, and surprisingly, like, for how, like, high concept it was, like, oh, you have a flashlight, it's interactive, like, the whole, like, maze experience was smooth. Right, it didn't like, I mean, obviously that particular maze is a longer line, but I don't even think it was because of the flashlights being handed out to the guests. It was because they closed the door, you'd have to knock on the door, they'd open it, and then you go in, and so I think that's why the maze was long, but the fact that, like, they were able to, you know, use these flashlights, the flashlights weren't the reason why it was so long on the line. Like, it was just a very, like, well thought out and executed maze. So it's going to be a bummer if it leaves, but I kind of understand why it will.
Yeah,
if it does,
I think it's seen its day. Just because, even though we look at Not Scary Farm, pushing it to 8 is pushing it to 9 is unforeseeable. At a Not Scary Farm maze, you're lucky to get 4 or 5, and
I would hope for sure that like if they replace with something, it's just going to be epic because that is such a great area to put sets in, you know, because it's all inside that building, that warehouse. So. There's one other thing that I think that we definitely should talk about that I am like, and that's the Red Barn.
Yes.
I want the Red Barn to go away because that, again, is another great place for a maze to be at. It's inside, it's in a great location. However, like, look at the mazes that were before it. You had Pinocchio and Strung, the Doll Factory, two great concepts, and then it just kind of felt like they copped out a little bit, like, oh, it's the Red Barn, here's some hillbillies and gore, and there's the story. And I know there is a story to it, but it's like, I didn't even care to get to know the story because the maze to me was just bland. That doesn't mean the actors were bland. That doesn't mean that there wasn't effort put into it, but that for me personally it's like, okay, well it felt like a cop-out, like, oh, we have a Red Barn, let's just, you know, put a bunch of hay and some gore and hillbillies with chainsaws and it'll be scary. Like, no, like, look at the mazes before that, Doll Factory, stuff like that where it's like, that I want, bye. I have no emotional attachment to the Red Barn, bye, toodaloo!
And I think you're absolutely right. I think people, as we're evolving as a society, they're going in and they don't want to see just like, oh, don't chase me with a chainsaw and a bunch of gore and a bunch of like you know, people that we're afraid of. I think they want that mind twisted experience where you're like, whoa, like I thought we were going this way and then we went this way. You know?
Just
like you want to be scared and you want to think at the same time, like
I felt like it was the waste of that space putting that kind of theming, and I want it to go and, you know, just put another high concept maze in there, you know, or just put something besides just like a Red Barn,
and
you know, like it's been done before many times, so let's just see something else for sure. But that doesn't mean that, you know, the actors did a bad job or anything. They were all great, you know, and like there was definitely thought put into it, but at this point it needs to go.
Bye, Red Barn.
You know, Paranormal Inc. I have no problem staying. The Depths, obviously, and then Shadowlands. You know, it's kind of, I don't think it's going to leave this year. It might. I don't think so. I think it has one more year left in it for sure. Maybe, I don't know.
Now, what? Oh my God.
This one's a hard one.
You know what? It's so hard because you have, like I said, 4 or 5 years for a maze, and you've got so many mazes that are coming up onto their 5th year. And you're just like, oh my God, what is going to... Well, obviously, like, Depths and Dark Entities is going to stay. Yeah. It's only been a year. Yeah. But everything else is, like, been pushed to that brink where it's gonna leave. Like it might leave, and it has to. But that would be way too many mazes for KNOTT, I feel,
to just
to
do
get
a new,
rid of, to do all new concepts.
Because how much money is that going to cost for what if they got rid of Trick or Treat, Red Barn, Permanent Ink, and Shadowlands? That's 4 new mazes.
That's 4 new, and that's crazy. That's a lot, but we can say that there is some movement. Obviously, the designs have already been done. The designs have already been done since November of 2018. Like, we all know that. Even Universal has said, yeah, we had all our concepts done by November 2018, even though he's still pitching stuff and whatnot. But
writing treatments.
God, if Shadowlands comes back this year, because last year...
Expect it to be the last, probably.
Expect it to be the last year, because last year, they got rid of the whole show sequence.
Yeah,
in the beginning.
And I think that was just kind of like... that was just like, get the guests through the maze, you know?
And I feel like that is kind of the writing on the wall. Like, I don't know if it's going to be back, because, again, a lot of these are on the brink of not coming back, but if it comes back, I would... without a doubt, this would be the last year.
And I don't know what it is about Shadowlands that, like, you know, I'm okay with it being here for another year, even though I've been through it and nothing's relatively changed about it.
No.
Paranormal, it's a good maze. Paranormal Inc. the same thing, and like I'm a little more skeptical about Paranormal Inc. leaving because they redid the ending scene, and so it kind of shows that they've put in more. They put in like that effort to try to change it up, and so let's just give it another year of that change up to see it. But that doesn't mean it won't leave. But Paranormal Inc. for me was such a when we went through it the first time, when it first opened, it was just such a game changer for me.
So excited about
such a game changer, and so it's just like I can understand if KNOTT kind of has a little hard time letting that one go. I can get that, but like Red Barn, I just feel like there's no excuse.
It was Red Barn I feel is just slapped together. That's a maze that can be taken apart. Like Paranormal had a lot of build put into it. A lot of build. And I think it was a lot of build put into it because it was in that warehouse and you could leave it if you wanted to. Unlike the space that Red Barn and Doll Factory and all those
and even Dark Ride.
Yeah, that space is used throughout the year. It's a Boysenberry Festival right now.
Yeah.
After Boysenberry's festival's over, it'll kind of lay dormant until build for whatever they're going to put inside of it, be it Red Barn or whatever else it is.
And do you think for sure Dark Ride will come back?
Dark Ride will come back for sure.
Yeah.
Again, but it's one of those mazes that space is used throughout the year. So
yeah, they'll slap it on back.
They'll put it back, and I actually don't see Dark Ride going away for a couple of years.
One thing that I really miss, and I get it because budget and stuff like that, was that I miss the mazes that were in like we were talking about Fiesta Village, how they're out in public view, but like where the bumper cars were, and they used to have what was the Vegas one. Remember
they had Viva Las Vegas.
And so it's just kind of I miss that
they could put something in that space. They could put something in that space.
And I know they probably
it would be very much out of the way.
I know they probably won't, but it was how many what's the most mazes that were at Not Scary Farm?
13.
13, that's a lot.
That's a lot of mazes.
And so how many mazes are there now?
Jackie's counting right now on her fingers. We're trying to figure it out.
I think 8.
Is it 8?
Including infected, right?
Yeah.
So there's probably roughly, I think, 8, including infected. So that's that's 5 less maze options, and I get it. No other theme park will offer that many mazes to you unless you go to Orlando. But it's just okay, if you have a maze that's been here for X amount of times, it's not really a big deal if you have more options because you have more options. Does that make sense?
Right.
I can go to there's 5 more mazes. So I feel like the pressure's just a little bit more on KNOTT because okay, we went from 13 mazes to now 8. And if they've been there longer, if let's say 5 of those out of those 8 mazes have been there longer, then it's okay, well, give me a fresh experience. Why should I come back? And I will always come back to Not Scary Farm, but that's what, or Not Scary Farm, but that's why I'm a little change it up, so that way people don't because, someone that I know said well, I feel no need to go back to Not Scary Farm. There's only 2 new mazes. Why would I go? And it's well, they changed it up and they were kind of nah. No, and I don't want that to happen again because I feel Not Scary Farm is a game changer. They're the ones that can the creative wise, people wise, scare actor wise, they can just do anything they want. And I don't want them to get into this rut where it's oh, just because a maze has been open for a year, it needs to stay for another 2. Like, I get it in terms of budget, but it's like,
right.
you know, I don't want them to.
But that's why I think KNOTT is in the realm of changing a room or trying to revamp an experience.
That. Yeah.
Like, we don't have to change the entire maze, but let's at least change this one part.
And I think that's why if KNOTT did not change a single maze from the previous year, I would still go to KNOTT. Because it's just not Scary Farm. Like, yeah, I have to go. And I do, like, that's why, like, I think something that gets me back, it's like, okay, well, you know, I didn't even know that Paranormal Inc.'s ending got changed, but I still wanted to go through Paranormal Inc. You know, like, their mazes, there's just something about their mazes that is kind of universal in terms of, like, not Universal Studios, but just universal in terms of, like, you know, like, we are creative. We have, like, the best minds. Let's just go in there and just give the guests an experience. And so when they put their energies towards that, look at Paranormal Inc. Look at Trick or Treat. But then you have some times where it's like, oh, look at Red Barn, you know? And every single theme park is going to have their ups and downs, absolutely.
They're not all going to be winners.
They ain't all going to be winners. And every single park is going to have their ups and downs, you know?
Every single park. I mean, like, nobody has...
But it's just like...
I've never walked out of a place and said, like, everything was a top 10.
Of course.
It can't be.
But what I'm trying to say is that, like, Knott's Berry Farm, when they're at their 10, it's not even, like, it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, wow.
There have been better years than others where, like, yeah, that was, like, a 9.5. The only thing that I didn't like was this one little thing. But that has been every single place, like, that I've ever been to where I'm all like, whoa. I still love the atmosphere. I've been to Haunted Hayride probably... like, every year that they've had it, even since the beginning, except for last year. I've gone in it. I still love the atmosphere. It is just insane creepy to be in Griffith Park after dark in the first place. You know? And it's so Halloween. It's quintessential thing, but I've gone through the hayride, the actual hayride part of it, and went, whatever. It was cool going on the hayride, but it wasn't really that great.
Maybe we're just becoming more and more critical because we're going to it more and more. Because I remember last year, even with Universal, we were like, it was an okay event. It was an okay event,
but I think that is where the public is going. I'm speaking for the people. If I'm going to pay $200 to get into your event, you need to give me $200 worth of your event. Yeah. Like, don't cop out on it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the thing is, like, Not Scary Farm, I can get into Not Scary Farm for $50.
Okay. With Skeleton Key though and all that stuff, it's still less than Universal.
It's still less than Universal, but
like,
I'm just saying a normal ticket. Yeah. I'm just saying going in like on a Thursday, paying $50, getting there at opening, and going through these mazes, and we will be doing a tips and tricks on how to get through Not Scary Farm again.
And tips and tricks through Universal
too. We're gonna try to do a whole lot more this year than we could last year.
Yeah.
But I think the public, I think the public is getting to that point where they want their money's worth, and they want them to see at least that that place is doing their best because of the value, because of the prices.
So let's touch on one big thing, and I really don't have any clue, and this is going to be more of you, is do you think Infect is going to come back this year, and if so, what are they going to do to it?
Okay.
Okay. Don't get in trouble.
I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut. So I don't know if it's going to come back in another place and they're gonna put something else in Mystery Lodge, because Mystery Lodge, for as far as back as I can say, has always had something.
Yeah, like Terror of London.
The first thing that I went through was Blood Bayou. Way back in the days. Okay? Like,
did you just date yourself?
I went through Blood Bayou.
What year was that?
2000.
Oh wait, that's enough said.
I remember it, and I remember it vaguely because I was still young.
It's a great area for a maze, for sure. But it was also such a good area.
Forevermore was there, and
Forevermore was so
good. 1313 Hatchet. 13 Axe Murder Manor, which was like the most terrifying maze that I've ever been through. I was so uncomfortable in that maze. I came out drenched in sweat.
Yeah.
Like, because it was so... I mean, like, I ran through that maze.
I remember the Terror of London was really scary, but the reason why, too, is that no one else was in front of us. Like, we happened to just roll up to this maze on a really slow day, and so every scare actor was ready for us, and I remember that was a really great experience.
So that.
And if we're just talking about what we love, can I just appreciate Club Blood?
Club Blood.
If anyone out there liked Club Blood, I really liked that one. Okay,
Looking
proceed.
at you. Delirium.
Delirium was good too.
So, Mystery Lodge has always had a history of having these huge long mazes inside of it.
Yeah.
And is something else going in Mystery Lodge's place?
Only time will
I don't
tell.
know. I don't know. Somebody knows. I don't know. Okay. And that's like pretty much all I'm going to say about that.
And then let's talk about Pumpkin Eater real quick.
Pumpkin Eater, I think, will be back.
I think so too.
We kept losing the Pumpkin Eater this year.
Pumpkin Eater kept winning the trophy, and we're like, why are we losing the Pumpkin Eater? And it's a testament to the actors, actually. But the maze is very aesthetically pleasing. I still have not even ever walked through Pumpkin Eater because I've been working for the last 2 years.
You walk inside a rotten pumpkin.
No, and I get it, and I've seen it on YouTube. But I watched our own video.
Yeah, it was so dark. I was trying to film in there. It was so dark.
So Pumpkin Eater is aesthetically pleasing, and I think with some changes,
yeah,
it could definitely be a contender again because I like the whole concept.
Let's talk
It will
about
definitely be back because I don't know what they would put in the place.
Pumpkin Eater for sure. Now let's talk about Mine Train. Do you think we'll see anything inside the Mine Train?
I don't know. I hope that we do. I think it's something that
it's a great area for there to be something spooky.
We had the Witch's Cavern. We had the Black Widow Cavern. And I think that they could put something in there. We had My Bloody Clementine where they added the actors inside of it. I don't think they need to put actors inside of Calico.
And also with the log ride too, I don't think they're going to do that.
No,
because of...
I think Halloween Hootenanny will be back because it's amazing, it's cute, it's quintessential Halloween, and it's something that they can run day and night.
And I liked it.
They do. And I think that'll totally be back. Crazy Kirk and the Hillbillies did the soundtrack for it, and they did an amazing job. So I think it'll be back, and I think that they need to put something back in Calico.
Yeah.
Something scarier than My Bloody
Even
Clementine.
when it was Black Widow, like taverns or whatever, like taverns. Taverns. They're all drinking beer. It was still cool. Let's talk about wants. So we know that for sure they want to add the themes of the maze to the scare zone. So like in Carnival, you have the dark ride because it fits with like a carnival ride, right? So that doesn't mean that we can't sort of express our hopes and wants. And for the Red Barn, I'd really like to see them go back to like the roots of a storyline that's a little more high concept. Like I really like the Doll Factory, and so I kind of hope that they'd add something. I don't know, just
Dolly
Parton, y'all. You know, it'd be really good to just. I don't know. I don't even know what I would want in there.
Like an origin story.
What could you do? Because I mean, Doll Factory. Red Barn is so close to Ghost Town.
Yeah, you know, it would be...
It fades into it, so maybe we can push towards, like, a Ghost Town.
Indian Burial Grounds or something, I don't know.
Something to that manner.
So, yeah, we'll just leave that at that, but... And then for, like, Inside Trick or Treat, you know, it'd be really cool to see, I don't know, like, something... I don't know why I want to see this, and I do, but it's just like, you know, like that, like neon paint kind of like 3D concept stuff that they used to do, like fairy tales. I would love to see something in terms of that. So talking about the trick-or-treat location, it would be really nice to maybe see like something playing with your senses. We know that they kind of did that at Orlando last year, and I'm not trying to compare the two, but they did the dead exposure, where it's like you could not see anything until the lights were flashed. It would be cool if KNOTT did something like that, because I think KNOTT would be really, like, would pull it off really, really well.
I think that they could bring back something, because we're looking at houses in that back area anyways, but you could kind of bring something like a hybrid of, like, 13X Manor back.
Yeah, like, something come back,
like witches, like, maybe we could... I know we went to the witch's house before, that's what Trick or Treat was. It was the witch's house, but you could bring it way darker. Not with the tricksters, not with anything like that, but just like the victims of the witch, or like some curse of the Green Witch or something.
Yeah. Oh yeah, gunslingers.
Gunslingers could be utilized again. Gunslinger has not been used, and like you said earlier, like the bumper car area was once used as a maze and can be used because who cares about the bumper cars? To be honest with you, I mean, it's just like one of those.
It's not like an e-ticket attraction.
Yeah, it's not an e-ticket attraction.
Yeah.
But there are rumors that there will be an expansion of Ghost Town for its 100th year anniversary, and that is going to take out, because there are public records right now that KNOTT has applied to demo those buildings in the back. Not this year. Nothing's going to happen this year, but next year. So that is going to be a game changer for Scary Farm with those 4 maze area gone. So we might
and those have, like, the best mazes, too.
We might see the old Gunslingers area utilized. We might see the bumper car area utilized again. We might see a maze smack dab in the middle of Fiesta again, like they did in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, Cornstalkers was on the train tracks. Like you kind of went under the train tracks, so that shut the train down a little bit. But we might see those areas utilized, and that is a whole other vlog for next year, because this year nothing's happening. This year nothing's happening.
But you know what? Like I'm not. So again, like those 4 buildings, like where Voodoo was and stuff like that. Yeah, like they host such great mazes. But that doesn't mean that I'm like not optimistic that they'll be able to find another area where they can do it.
Gunslingers was a gigantic maze. It had a huge footprint.
Yeah.
And you went into that back area. And
they'll make it work.
I like that KNOTT tries to keep their mazes off to the side, kind of out of view, and not really interrupt and disrupt the normal process of the park, because the park is now doing every single season. Just every single season there's something going on in the park. No matter what. We had the Peanuts celebration right before we had Boysenberry, and Boysenberry's a month now.
I really want to go to Boysenberry Festival, by the way.
Yeah.
Let's go. Right. But, so, I think, like, when that time comes, I'm open to the change, and I'm definitely, like, I'm excited to see what they have going. I love Knott's Berry Farm. I think this season's going to be a great season. I do think that, like we said, Dark Entities and the Depths were for sure going to stay. I think we'll probably see Shadowlands and Pumpkin Eater and Dark Ride stay. Mm-hmm. Paranormal Inc., Trick or Treat, and Red Barn up in the air. I don't know. I know that for sure one of those 3 have to go, and I'm thinking it's Trick or Treat and Red Barn, but I'm not sure. Paranormal Inc. still has, like, I'm okay if it stays. But overall, like, KNOTT Scary Farm is a great Halloween attraction. You guys definitely have to check it out. And it's going to be opening for sure probably September all the way until October.
It will be September, so it usually opens up a week after Universal. So Universal's opening up September 13th this year. So I'm looking at like Friday the 20th is probably going to be opening. I don't know that for sure. I'm just going off of what last year was, because last year was the 15th. Mm-hmm. The 15th they open, so it'll actually probably be the Thursday. It'll be the Thursday, so it'll probably be the 19th, because Universal was the 15th last year, and we opened the 20th. So
definitely, like,
it's gonna be a week after, and we'll definitely be there on opening.
It's gonna be craziness.
I mean, last but not least, I'm kind of up in the air on what the shows are gonna be at KNOTT's, and one of the things that does make KNOTT's is really cool is the shows. The hanging is obviously going to be back next year.
I think it's just a matter of, like, who's going to be hung.
But other than that, I hope that they really, really step up the game with the shows this year, and I would like to see them geared more towards the spooky side of Scary Farm and not what they did this year, especially in the Schultz Theater. Looking at you. Anyways.
Well, I guess with that being said, you know, Halloween Horror Nights and KNOTT Scary Farm are both going to be amazing. I am always excited. Well, obviously, we're going to post more construction updates of KNOTT Scary Farm and Halloween Horror Nights and Dark Harbor when it starts coming up. I think we'll probably see construction of Halloween Horror Nights come up first, and then we'll see Scary Farm and then Dark Harbor.
Scary Farm will be next. Dark Harbor is going to be probably way later in the game. But
yeah, and we will keep you guys updated every step of the way, so stay tuned. There's new videos every week.
And we will be there on the 12th of Monsterpalooza, and then we will be there on the 14th, all 3 of us, for the big announcement and panel for Universal Horror Nights. And it's going to be an amazing month, and I feel like we are just going 65 miles an hour right now.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot happening for sure. But hey, you know what? For the sake of Halloween, we'll do it.
I love.
We'll go at 70 miles per hour if we need to.
I know.
All right. Well, with that being said, go ahead and like this video, subscribe. Stay tuned for new videos every week. We're going to be doing a lot of construction updates, and always be ready.
Because you never know where your compass will take you.
Ooh. Ooh.